Hey again, we are talking about properly tracking and citing your resources for your nonfiction book. In the blog post and in the PDF, I talk about the need to cite your original source. And what I mean by that is often when we're doing research, we will come upon a quote or a reference in a book to another source, and it's not necessarily that author's words and ideas that we're interested in. We think, oh, it's this that they quote or refer to that is the piece of information that we might want to use. Now, many times authors and students will just take the book that's in front of them, the resource that's in front of them where it was referenced, and use that. If they cite it at all, they will use that as the source. But that is not a legitimate source because it's not the original source. And the reason for that, so it requires some background work and a little bit of extra digging, because what we always want to make sure, and part of the purpose of citations, is to make sure that we are quoting and properly representing a source and using it in context. We know that context is king, and you can pull little words and phrases, even full sentences, out of context and flip them to mean something that is the complete opposite of what the original intent was. So citing the original source allows your reader to go back to that source and read it in context and say, oh, yep, that supports the argument, or whatever. So this is part of why those resources are critical. When you look at a book, and if there is something in that book that you say, oh, that's really interesting, that's the part I want to use, then you're going to need to go and purchase that book or go to the library, do some extra digging, and go back. Now, this is where that reader experience comes into play. You're going to have a practical experience of what your reader is going to go through and why citing those sources is so important. You are going to need to be able to track down that original source. So if the author has not cited that correctly in a way that allows you to easily track that down, you're not going to be able to legitimately research that and use it. So ideally, that author has, and you're going to see whether it's an in-text, footnote, endnote, whatever style they use of citation, you're going to be able to go back to the resources section of the book, find out exactly who the author was, what the title of the book or publication is, movie, play, whatever they're documenting, who the publisher was, the date it was published, page number sometimes, website link, that information, so that you can then go and check that out. And then if yes, indeed, that was in context and that is something that you want to use, then you would pull the information from that original source and put that in your documentation. So the reader may not ever know that there was kind of a middleman, that this author is what introduced you to the original source. All right, I hope that makes sense. And if not, ask me questions, or if you have a specific question about research that you're working on, post it in the comments below, shoot me an email, schedule a consultation with me. I'm here to help you.